Welcome to the Magnetic Leadership Podcast by educator Dave Johnson.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Dan McCormick. And I'm so glad. I've heard your name a lot of times through our common friend Larry Prophet, and I guess you guys go way, way back.
Yeah.
And he says you need to meet Dan. And so finally, it's like we live really far away. A lot of the time of the year, we're right in the same town, so that's super exciting. So it was really wonderful having lunch with you, and I appreciate your gift. And when I saw this, it just made me smile. Love this. Just read this right here. I am a magnet for miracles. I am a magnet for miracles. I used to be with a magnet company, and it's almost 25 years ago. I made this coin
Wow.
and pass that around, and has lots of words and things in it too. But this is when we hit the highest level in that company, and I like challenge coins. Got a few others here, and good stuff. Something to hold in your pocket and give out to other people and get them thinking. And wow, I am a magnet for miracles. That's a pretty good thing. I am a difference maker, a game changer. And you certainly are. You've done, I just think, how do you define success? And all of us have heard that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. But my favorite thought looking at it is the most successful person is just the person that's made the greatest positive difference for the largest number of people. And I think both of us get turned on that. And then the idea of being involved with work, and what would be the ultimate job, and how would you even measure that? And my thoughts, obviously, the first thought would be, how much money can I make? What's the income potential in the marketplace? And is it fun? And all that. But ultimately, I think it fits into that idea of what job could I do where I could make the biggest difference for the largest number of people. And if you can find a really powerful product and multiply your ability to influence other people by teaching other people to teach those people to teach those people, and then have that all around with not just teaching people about a product, but teaching them to be more attractive, to be a magnet for miracles. And that's where the books come in. And that's one of my very favorite thoughts. When I was in my 20s, I heard over and over again that where you will be in the future is the people you associate with, the books you read, the things you listen to. And I found a common friend that's a fan of all of those things. And wow, Dan McCormick, you're a difference maker. I listened to your podcast with Richard Brook, or another friend that's from this area.
Yeah.
And then you're telling about Augmandino. You got to tell me the story about Augmandino and just your background, because so often we just start out about the same place. And then the people we meet, the books we read, the mentors we have, changes everything. And in turn, you've been able to affect millions of lives and billions of dollars in sales. So I want to hear your story, because everybody else does too. Why are you who you are, and getting started?
Well, I think it's a great question. It starts with my wife, right? We always look to what our wives bring to the table, and I married up in a big way. And I actually was growing up in Seattle, Washington, a young man with no self-esteem, no self-worth, certainly had no net worth. I grew up in a tennis club, and inside that tennis club, people had money. They had time and money to be able to take an hour away from your day, or 2 hours, go to a club and pay $20 an hour. This was 1977, 78, 79. And this is a time and place in the world in Bellevue, Washington. It was called the Seattle Supersonics Racket and Health Club. And I just kept meeting people, professional tennis players, professional basketball players, football players with the Seahawks. And I didn't have what they had. I didn't think like they thought. And I was really poor in school. So I was able to get my first job working there at the tennis club at $2.35 an hour, got a raise over the next couple of years to $3.65 an hour. And then this individual came up to me at the club that was so game-changing. Have you ever had someone get so close to you when they talk, they violate your airspace? And this gentleman did that. And he said, Dano, he says, I'll pay you $5 an hour to build tennis courts with me this summer. I need a laborer. And so I agreed to that job. I got a massive pay raise, but he became a father figure. I didn't have that. My dad left at a very young age, and he became a father figure that taught me about integrity, that taught me about hard work, taught me about promptness, taught me about attitude. all of these optimistic ways of looking at life. And this man is worth millions of dollars today. And it became something so cool that I went off to Washington State University to play on the tennis team the next year. I actually love asking audiences. So we've got a really nice audience. If we could see the whole crowd right now raise their hands. Who had a college experience? Who had a college experience? Raise your hand. If you had a college experience like me, that's an incredible thing. Now, I finished in 2 weeks, Dave. Most people call that dropping out, okay? But I finished. I was a finisher. I didn't like it. I had ADD. I could not comprehend anything on a page in a book. And I raced home, literally raced home, got a reckless driving ticket, leaving Washington State University 2 weeks later. My boss paid the ticket and said, I will pay you $6 an hour if you come back to work for me next year. So I did. And that summer of 1982, I saw an ad in the newspaper. You and I have been blessed in this space called direct selling, network marketing, multi-level marketing. Back in the 60s, they called it pyramid marketing. This thing has changed names. Now we're getting to the word of affiliate marketing. We talk about all these different ways to do it. But the bottom line is you and I are independent contractors. And I learned what that was. And I got a set of training cassette tapes that were called Millionaire Training. And I began my journey in the summer of 1982, answering an ad in the newspaper, meeting my wife, getting married 8 months later, my wife and I married my upline, okay? Not only did I finish college in 2 weeks, but I married my upline 3 generations up. And if you're going to get married, you might as well go all 3 up. And so I had the good fortune of my wife and I passing our first $1 million in income when I was 22. Now, it happened because an individual put a book in my hand called The Greatest Secret in the World. Most have the sales copy, The Greatest Salesman in the World. But The Greatest Secret in the World by Og Mandino was the first book I ever read, but / if you're taking notes, studied. I followed the prompts in the book. This is my autograph copy from Og, by the way. I don't know if you can see that. It's in pencil there at the bottom. But Og gave us all a challenge. At the beginning of the book, he says, I give you 75-1 odds that you'll even do the scrolls for the next 9 months. And if you do, you've got a shot at doubling or tripling your income in the next year to 2 years. And I'm all in on that. I'm 19. My wife and I have this incredible experience, and Og became my lifeline. It became my favorite book ever. When I read those scrolls, and I read it as a young man, I was looking for the nuggets of financial benefit. What I didn't realize is it had to start on the inside. Today, I begin a new life, that first scroll says. And then the second scroll says, I will greet this day with love in my heart. Dave, I didn't grow up with love in my home. I didn't know what love was. I didn't know what it was like to affirm another or compliment another. I grew up on the tennis courts of competition. And I thought the only way to get better was to be on top of somebody else. And I just learned so much from Og. And then scroll number 3 says, I will persist until I succeed. And lo and behold, scroll number 4 was the game changer, which got me to here today. And I like to say that no matter who's listening today, that whatever got you here won't get you there. And that's what the greatest salesman in the world was for me for 40 years. It got me really substantial well-being, opportunity to teach, be the ambassador for the Og Mandino company, do all kinds of amazing things. And Dave, I was sitting on a plateau in Lake Coeur d'Alene. Just nobody would know I was hurting. I wasn't growing. I wasn't thriving. And lo and behold, I went to a convention and a conference, and my secretary or assistant was on the other side of the table. And this book was sitting there called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And she said, it's $50 for the book and the journal. And I bought the book and the journal. And it was the game changer that got me off my plateau. When Hal had that head-on collision, when he was pronounced dead for 11 minutes, 6 seconds, 11 broken bones, permanent brain damage, he had to figure out a way to change his life. What got him here won't get him there. And that was the game changer for me. I watched the documentary, and lo and behold, I started telling everybody that knew about this Hal Elrod guy. And everybody, I just kept saying, you got to get a Miracle Morning. You got to understand the savers. The single greatest self-help acronym in the history of self-help. All those books you have, all these books that I have, the single greatest acronym Hal writes about called the Savers. And I manifested, Dave, the idea that I would meet Hal Elrod. And I met him through our friend that wrote the book, Go for No. Okay. We've all read the book, Go for No. And she said, I don't know him personally, but I know who does. Got me in touch with him. We became fast friends. He agreed to write the foreword to my book called Awakening Who I Am. We'll talk more about that later. And it's just been an incredible journey. 42 years later, here I am doing what you do, speaking to people, trying to lift people, raise the bar, filter for higher ground, create coins like this, help people to seek and expect miracles in their life. I made this coin because I needed the coin. I wanted to feel the 7 affirmations that are in my book each and every day. And so, Dave, hopefully that's just an intro. And my wife also had Stephen Covey as a professor in college. So between Stephen Covey, Og Mandino, many others, Sterling W. Sill, you may remember that name, unbelievable people in the world of self-help, personal development. They were the pillars of personal development for me.
Absolutely. Oh, I just got let's see.
Here we go.
Have you got this?
Oh, I got 2 of them. Right there, baby.
Oh, what Sterling W. Sill. No, nobody has heard of him. Yeah, one of the top guys in New York Life, if I remember.
He was.
Sales, and he is so good.
Yeah, Dave, I never shared this with you, but I bought the rights to one of his books called Lessons from Great Lives, and I rewrote it. And I added his life. That was in 2007. You might find a used copy somewhere.
Oh,
but,
I got to get that copy.
Yeah, so this would be Lessons from Great Lives.
Wow.
I rewrote.
I just got to share with you. I got out of the Navy, had a couple of friends that actually referred to a company through our Amway connections and everything. But what it was an opportunity to be outside sales, straight commissions. The company didn't think I would make it, so they sent me to the Tri-Cities. Nobody had made it before. And so we got out of the Navy, came there in our U-Haul truck for the first time, and here I am. We rented the cheapest apartment we could find, and I'm going out in this new territory, straight commission. Oh my goodness, it was so scary, and I just wasn't making anything. And I'd come home and I'd get out the greatest salesman in the world, and I will persist until I succeed.
Yes.
I would go through that, and oh my goodness, and prayed a whole lot, and then my 2 favorite things. I just think, wow, all the scrolls are good, but I will greet this day with love in my heart. Love is everything, and persistence and determination are omnipotent. Just wow,
Yeah.
it's just powerful stuff.
Dog was a gift.
Yeah.
And then number 4 is I am nature's greatest miracle. And that was my first I am affirmation. And the idea 2 years ago for me was, why don't I write a book to see if I can bring more positivity in the world? What if we can have 2 words that are so simple, the 2 most important words in the history of the language, and that is I am, I meaning exist, am meaning with God. And what follows I am follows you. So we can go, if we live in the world of deprecation or all of the defamations, then we're I am lazy, I am fat, I am tired, I'm not cut out for that. All these I am defamations, instead of what we do in the morning now, which we didn't know years ago, is there's something called neurogenesis. And that is the baby nerve cells that are being born while you sleep. It doesn't matter if you're 17 or 70 or 90 on this call right now, on the Zoom broadcast. Every morning you wake up, you have a chance to program the mind. Starts with the subconscious. And what I did was I made an 18-minute affirmation video that's on YouTube, and it's for everybody. It's just a free tool to change the programming to start off with those 7 affirmations that are in my book. And there's a famous quote that I love from Naval Ravikant, and most of us have a copy of the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Runaway bestseller, incredible depth to it. And this is the quote that changed my life. In order to write a great book, you have to become the book. And I thought, how powerful is that? And so I created this 18-minute affirmation video that would give the subconscious the first things first idea of what are those 7 key affirmations at the top of my book here that comes out next month. And I can literally take 18 minutes, which is 1% of my day, to be more prepared than 95% of the people, to be that magnet for miracles, to find those new customers, those new prospects, to become the person that I want to be. I got to filter for higher ground. And so when Naval Ravikant was quoted in James Clear's book, in order to write a great book, you got to become the book. I am now 1000% committed every day of my life to take 18 minutes, first things first, within the first hour of my day. And I like to what I call, if everybody wants to write in their notes here today, you'll quote this one forever. You want to flow before phone. If you're one of the individuals living right now in the world, this epidemic of our world right now, called comparison, called distraction, called ADD, ADHD, which is what I had as a kid. That's why I couldn't learn. Flow before phone. Program the mind in whatever your journey. My favorite thing to get into flow first thing is to write. Like when I get up, I go right to my journal. I want to write. I am a magnet for miracles. I write the people I'm praying for. I write the 7 affirmations. Flow before phone should be the top of your notes here today. If you take notes and if you love the Jim Rohn idea, I've always got my Jim Rohn quote book right there in front of me. Gotta love Jim Rohn, right? I was fortunate to travel the world with Jim in the late 80s, and we were fortunate to go all over the world together. But I am just so excited to meet with your group here today to filter for higher quality words. Let's make October the pattern interrupt month of your life. You're going to change the way the brain starts the day. My 18-minute affirmation video, you can see on my name there, affirmim.com is my website. Just put your email in there and you'll get the free, commercial-free. Because if you go to YouTube, you get the commercials, but you'll get the commercial-free version of the 18 minutes. Get on my email list and know that all we're doing is trying to pattern interrupt. 2 words to ignite your transformation is the subtitle of my book. Those 2 words are I am. The poet Hafiz said, the words we use become the house we live in. It's quite powerful to think that everybody basically gets out of life what they want. And I know that if you change your words, you can change your life. And I make no exception. There's no room in my life for negativity or self-deprecation. I can't say words like, I am fat, I am lazy, I am tired, I am not good enough, worthy enough, rich enough, etc. But what I can say is on the side of the coin that says I am with you, that's why I carry it with me at all times. Number 1, I am a creator. So when I wake up in that 18-minute video and in my book, I am a creator. What do you and I create every day, Dave? Ideas, books, journals, memories. My wife loves to create memories for the grandkids. We create businesses, we create products, we create opportunities, we create business opportunity meetings. We do Zoom events like this. Hopefully we're creating a memory for people right now. And number 2 is I am intentional. I am absolutely intentional. We can't just be a boat without a row or rowing a boat without the oars or a boat without a sail. We are directing our life to exactly what we want. And then I am present. And this is going to be really quite powerful for people. I want to share this with people because it's a paradigm that I learned from my friend, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who wrote 10X is easier than 2X, Be Your Future Self Now, Who Not How with Dan Sullivan. But he taught me this principle, and he also wrote the afterword to my book. This is a powerful concept. I am present. If we can take every single person on the broadcast right now and say, how do we make our present better? We make our present better by making our future bigger. Like I love the book, The Prayer of Jabez. If I think every day, how do I get in the path of another to make their life better? If I can make their life better, I make my life better, right? The old adage, help enough people get what they want and you get what you want. And so make your present better by making your future bigger. Now watch this. Our past financial disappointments, companies that have disappointed us, relationships that have disappointed us, people, all of these things are past. We have to change the paradigm. I've gone through it too. People have really treated me wrong. No, there's no exception. My past happened for me, okay? Not to me. And so as I change the paradigm of the past, my present is better, my future is bigger, and that's why number 3 in the book is I am present. I feature a lady in the book that in each of the I am affirmations has a spotlight story of somebody that used I am affirmations in their life in some capacity, whether it's addiction. One lady in the book who's the first lady in the history of her family to be in our industry and buy a home. And she watched standing in her driveway where her husband committed suicide inside the house, blew his head off. She used I am affirmations. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know her. My daughter's in the book who had a dread disease. A college basketball player who scored 46 points in a college basketball game had a disease that only 1,000 people in the country have that attacks eyes, ears, and brain. She used I am affirmations, unbeknownst to me, to heal. Another gentleman that was at $500 a day, opiate addiction, $500 a day. He would beg, borrow, and steal from everybody. And he runs the AA program here in Orange County that I attended this week. Go to him regularly and watch him conduct. He used a phrase, I am partnering with God. And that's how he created, and that's what people do. But watch as you link now from I am present to the 4th one, which is the keystone to all 7. So if you have 7, I don't have the diagram with us right now. You have 3 I ams, and then you have 1 in the middle. I call it the keystone. It's called I am worthy. If you can tell yourself, and if you can know that you're just as worthy, deserving, and capable as anyone else on the planet, you're going to really feel better about who you are and the people you bring on your team. I am worthy is absolutely so powerful. We made a separate 7-minute affirmation video. And one of the key phrases in there is I am worthy. I am forgiving. And I have to forgive myself and forgive others. And then number 5, 6, and 7. I am capable. I am compassionate. Quick story for you, Dave, on compassion. I ask audiences when I speak. Last Saturday night, I was in Sundance, Utah, doing a group of about 50 mission-driven entrepreneurs, women. And I asked the audience, do you think most people have more compassion for others or themselves? Most of the ladies said others. But the rule would be, put the oxygen mask on you first. The book of Jude teaches us in Jude 1:22, there's a simple little scripture with just a few words. Our 14th grandchild was born 2 years ago, December. And my daughter, Mackenzie, named him Jude. And what immediately popped into my mind was this little scripture, Jude 1:22. And some have compassion, making a difference. And I thought, how cool that you and I get to do what we do, talk to an audience of unbelievable mission-driven entrepreneurs, powerful people here, shaping people's lives, changing people's lives with a product that's changing people's lives, a company that's changing people's lives. But I am compassionate is the 6th affirmation in the book. And the final one, Dave, is so near and dear to me because I had a business partner. We did investments together. We did business together. He was extraordinarily wealthy and loved to fly himself around in his own private jet. January 2nd, 2023, that jet crashed on the runway in Provo, and he died. Nobody else in the plane died but him. He was the pilot. He was very fond of being a finisher. Scripture tells us, I am the author and the finisher. When we say I am a finisher, and I have it on the coin, because we want to finish more things and start fewer things. We have a tendency to start so many projects. Let's be better finishers of those projects. Let's be better finishers of reading that book, studying that book, finishing that workout, finishing that healthy, wholesome meal, finishing that 18-minute affirmation video can set my day to make me a magnet for miracles. And so I just couldn't be more excited that you and I became fast friends here. And thank you to Larry Prophet. I've known about you for years. Your success is unbelievable. Your leadership is amazing. Just having lunch with you, I can't wait to get back up there to Coeur d'Alene again so we can go on a bike ride and have lunch at our favorite place at Pilgrims, all that fun stuff. And I'm just thrilled. And I hope if there was anything said here today, because I don't know the people, I don't see the faces right now because I think I'm on panelist mode, but I just know that every single mission-driven entrepreneur listening today can take the ideas, personalize them for themselves. The opening page of my book is unlike any opening page of any book in history. And I don't have a finished copy to share with you, but most people know that the opening page is just a blank page. What I did was I do a co-creator page. I'm essentially asking every single one of you to be my co-author, because your I am affirmations, you might say something along the lines in my coaching classes. One of my group last week, we talked about the word xenodoki. We try to figure out a word for the alphabet. Every I am affirmation, we go through the alphabet. And what do you do when you get to X? I say, I am xenodokial. And Dave, you're xenodokial too. And that is, I am friendly with strangers. We love talking to strangers. We make them our best friends. And so,
stranger is just a person you haven't met yet.
Exactly.
A friend that you haven't met yet.
So I invite everybody to be my co-creator, to share with me your I am affirmations, to share with me the ideas that you have, and to become the finisher of this book. Be the author and the finisher. And Dave, I'm just thrilled, and hopefully we said something of value for our audience today, that I know you're friends and they trust you and love you. And so I thank you a lot to trust that I could come on and hopefully share something of value for everybody.
I appreciate that. Just thinking of Sterling W. Still, one of my favorite things is he asked this question: how would you like to create your own mind? And then he says, and isn't that what we do, one thought at a time? Yeah. And if we rethink the same thoughts, they become more permanent, more deep, and we have control of that. And we definitely, I remember Dexter Yeager saying, most people, their head is a garbage can with a hairy lid. You got to just not take mental candy. You got to choose what you put into your mind, and then just thinking the same good thoughts that becomes a part of you. And I love this idea that you can take someone else's thoughts and make them your own and just have great benefit. And in fact, Jim Rohn, I think he says, most of my greatest thinking was done by someone else. I just think that's really wonderful. But I guess just to end it, my thrill, and yours too, is the idea that you're making a difference, and that maybe doing something, touching someone else, that something wonderful happens that maybe would not have happened, but by your good influence, that something great was there. And I think, wow, that's thrilling and also just so wonderful. And yeah, that's a great life, is being involved in something like this where you can touch so many people.
Just because you brought Sterling W. Sill up, I'll share, because I went to the University of Utah, and in the archives, I had them bring up, they had hundreds of boxes of his life when I did the book. Mm-hmm. I called and spoke with and had correlation with the New York life. And when you talk about him creating his own mind, he would have 3x5 cards in his pocket, and he would write down and take notes and ideas. And so he was creating his mind. But in my journals and my notes and I actually have some of his journals, 976 books he read in his life. But he didn't just read them. He studied them, and he looked to create those ideas for his mind that he could make his own. Hence the book, Lessons from Great Lives. He took from the New York University, back in the day, there was something called the Hall of Fame for Great Americans. So I went back to the Hall of Fame for Great Americans in New York with the directors and took the tour and told them of the book I was writing. And that was a fascinating time. But Sill took notes on everything. And oh my, when the University of Utah started bringing boxes up for me to research, his contribution, and I love the idea of contribution to another's life that doesn't necessarily have to be on your social media page, because he didn't have that. The contribution he made in private was immense and enormous. Unbelievable. So thank you I didn't know we would have a Sterling W. Sill conversation, but I have every one of his books and notes and journals, and he was one of the great ones.
Yeah. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, back in the 70s, he had a lot of cassette tapes, and I would listen to he had such a wonderful voice, and what a smart guy. I thought, oh my goodness, life insurance just does not turn me on. But boy, if you wanted to be really good in life insurance, can you imagine working for him? Oh, what a thrill. But
He was an icon.
yeah.
As you are. And it's great to be with your team today and everybody here. And I just hope that we can add value to people's lives by going out there and doing something so simple. I believe now, after I've spent the last 2 years and really 40 years of I am nature's greatest miracle, thanks to Augmentino. But when you think about the two most powerful words are I am, and the ignition switch of your life is what follows that. And I hope that people will take the initiative to really ponder every single affirmation and make it as positive and powerful. Doesn't matter how old, how young you are right now. Quality of your life can change in an instant by changing the words that we use.
And what you do daily, it accumulates. So this is the day we have. Let's be glad and rejoice in it, and do something.
Compounding effect.
We'll be glad we did. And looking off into our future self, looking back, what our ideal future self wish that we would have done today. A fun thought to think about too.
That's so true. I
love you, appreciate you, and thanks for doing this. You've changed my life already, and because of you, I'm going to have a better day. And just so happy to be thinking right now, I'm the happiest I've ever been and the most loving. And oh, wow, look out, world. We're going to change it. Thank you.
Look at you. I'm looking at some of the notes in question and answer. There we go. You love Hafiz. The words we use become the house we live in. There we go. I am Xenodokiel. I love it. We got some good ones here. Thomas, thank you so much. W. Clement Stone, that was Augmentino's guy right there, right? He was the man that changed dogs' lives. Powerful. You got a great team here. God bless you. Make October the best month of your life. Starts with today, and I am grateful for the opportunity to be with you.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, everybody.
Bye for now.
Thank you for joining the Magnetic Leadership Podcast with Dave Johnson. Take charge of your health and detoxify today with Avini Premium products.